Procas, also known as Procas, was one of the last legendary kings of Alba Longa and an important figure in the royal genealogy that ultimately led to the founding of Rome. Although his reign occupies only a small place in ancient literature, Procas played a decisive role in Roman mythology because he was the father of Numitor and Amulius, the two brothers whose rivalry shaped the events preceding the birth of Romulus and Remus. Through his descendants, Procas became one of the direct ancestors of the Roman people and an essential link between the Trojan hero Aeneas and the legendary founders of Rome. According to Roman tradition, Procas belonged to the long line of Alban kings who traced their ancestry back to Silvius, the son of Aeneas. For many generations, the kings of Alba Longa preserved the royal bloodline established after the Trojan settlement in Italy. By the time Procas ascended the throne, the kingdom had already existed for centuries and was regarded as the leading Latin city in central Italy. Ancient writers described him as a legitimate ruler who maintained the stability of the kingdom and continued the traditions inherited from his ancestors. Procas ruled during a relatively peaceful period in the legendary history of Alba Longa. Unlike many mythical kings who were remembered for great wars or dramatic adventures, his reign is portrayed as one of continuity and orderly government. His greatest contribution was not military conquest, but the preservation of the royal dynasty that connected the age of Aeneas with the generation of Romulus and Remus. Roman historians viewed him as one of the final guardians of the Trojan royal line before the political conflict that would eventually transform the destiny of Italy. Near the end of his life, Procas named his elder son, Numitor, as his successor. According to the traditional law of inheritance, Numitor possessed the strongest claim to the throne and was expected to become the next king of Alba Longa. However, after Procas died, his younger son, Amulius, refused to accept this arrangement. Driven by ambition, Amulius seized power, removed Numitor from the throne, and declared himself king. This act of usurpation marked one of the most important turning points in Roman mythology, as it set in motion the chain of events that would eventually lead to the birth of Romulus and Remus. To secure his position, Amulius attempted to eliminate every possible rival from Numitor's family. Numitor's sons disappeared from the political scene, while his daughter, Rhea Silvia, was forced to become a Vestal virgin so that she would have no children who could challenge Amulius's authority. Despite these efforts, fate unfolded differently. Rhea Silvia later gave birth to the twins Romulus and Remus, who survived against all expectations. As adults, they overthrew Amulius, restored Numitor to the throne, and eventually founded the city of Rome. Because of this sequence of events, Procas stands at the point where the royal history of Alba Longa merges with the legendary origins of Rome itself. Although Procas appears only briefly in surviving ancient sources, his position within Roman genealogy is of great importance. He represents the final generation of peaceful succession before the conflict between Numitor and Amulius divided the royal family. His descendants became the central figures of Rome's foundation myth, making him the grandfather of Rhea Silvia and the great-grandfather of Romulus and Remus. Through this lineage, Procas connected the heroic age of Aeneas with the beginning of Roman history. For Roman historians and poets, Procas symbolized dynastic continuity and legitimate kingship. His decision to recognize Numitor as heir reflected the accepted order of succession, while the later actions of Amulius demonstrated the dangers of ambition and unlawful rule. Even though Procas himself played no role in the later conflict, his family became the center of one of the most influential legends in Roman tradition. As a result, Procas remains an essential figure in the legendary history of Alba Longa, standing only one generation away from the dramatic events that culminated in the founding of Rome.